Hello, artists. Today we are going to talk about value, which we know value is how light or dark one color is. In this case, we're using charcoal, and we can make the charcoal light, medium, and dark in different areas. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you'll need your charcoal that I sent home with you, and you'll need a piece of paper for this. And any size paper will do. Okay, so you can see in the pumpkin, let's see, I've got two examples here. You can kind of see how one side is darker than the other, and then there's a shadow on the table. So since we're not actually looking at a pumpkin that's set up on a table, we're going to pretend that there is a light source coming from over here, which is my right. So when you're drawing this, keep in mind that the light source is going to be shining onto the pumpkin from the right. So that means that the right side of your pumpkin is going to be lighter because that's where the light is reflecting. The left side of your pumpkin is going to be darker because it's going to be in the shadow, because it's away from the light source. So this side is going to be darker, and then it's actually going to cast a shadow onto the table. Imagine you standing outside in the middle of the day when the sun is shining and you can see your shadow on the ground. That is what the pumpkin is doing on the table. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how you're going to do this. I'm just going to use charcoal for the whole thing. If you want to use a pencil first, very lightly, go ahead and do that. That's totally fine. Charcoal is super, super messy. I mean, I'm already messy and I've barely done anything. So make sure that you put something, newspaper, an old magazine or whatever, under your paper to protect the surface that you're working on. And then you can just set your paper on top of that. But you are going to get a little bit messy. You're going to make some dust with this. Don't blow the dust. I know that's tempting. Leave it be and then go to the trash can and kind of shake it off when you're finished. And then notice also I'm getting fingerprints on my paper because my hands already have charcoal on them. Try not to do that on your paper. Okay, so first we're going to draw the pumpkin, and we're going to make it in sections so that it looks a little bit more realistic and more three-dimensional, because the shading with the charcoal actually does make it go from a two-dimensional flat-looking pumpkin to a three-dimensional pumpkin. So I'm going to start by kind of in the middle of my paper, I'm going to draw an oval. And then I'm going to start at the top of my oval, and I'm going to draw kind of a C. It's kind of like the half oval, like this. And then I'm going to do that one more time over here, like this. And I'm going to repeat that on this side, making one and then two. I'll make a stem, and then I'm going to make some little arches right here to show the back part of the pumpkin. And you can see how I did that on this one too, just to give it more dimension. Then I'm just gonna draw a tabletop. Okay, now the fun begins. I'm going to start by making that shadow. Remember, on the left, the pumpkin is casting a shadow onto the table. So you're just going to color in. See all that dust I'm talking about? I know it's tempting to go, but we're not going to blow it. We're going to leave it the way it is. We'll get that in a minute. And then I am going to work on this side of the darker, the darker side of the pumpkin. I'm going to make a little bit darker using this charcoal. The side of the stem, of course, would be darker because it's also in the shadow. And maybe part of this would be. Okay. And then for my background, I am just going to take my charcoal, and on the little corner of the charcoal, I am going to so I'm holding it kind of like a diamond. I'm gonna drag it like this, just to kind of give a little bit of a different texture so that the wall doesn't look the exact same as the pumpkin and the table. And that's all I'm doing is just dragging. That's super easy. Okay, so my wall is done. I'm going to leave the wall alone, but the rest of it I'm going to have to blend. So I'm going to have to use my finger. I'm going to kind of blend the dark area into the area that I haven't colored. And that is what gives me that different value. It goes from dark to lighter. I'll do the same with this section. Going from dark to lighter, stem. Now, here is where I don't have as much dark to drag over to the uncolored part, so it's going to be lighter yet. And that's what I wanted. That's the effect I wanted because that is where my light source is. So this would be the lightest part of the pumpkin. Okay, so now I'm finished with the pumpkin part, and I can go ahead and drag the dark shadow into the rest of the table just to kind of finish it off a little bit. All right. And there you have it. Okay. So this doesn't take a whole lot of time. You just need to concentrate on what you're doing with the charcoal because it can just, boom, get everywhere really fast, and you don't want to have a big mess at your workstation. So now I would take all that dust. You can either knock it off on that newspaper that you're using to protect your workspace, or you could take this over to the trash and do the same thing. Just be very careful. Snap a picture of your artwork, send it to me on Seesaw. If this is something that you want to keep, you can actually spray hairspray over this, and it will help the charcoal to fix itself to the paper so that it won't come off as easily when you touch it. So give it a spray of hairspray if you would like to keep this, this artwork. Okay, have fun, take a picture, send it to me on Seesaw.